passenger pigeons. Probably the most terrible event of the mass slaughter in the history of the wildlife was not the bison, but the passenger pigeons. It's a story that almost defies belief. The earliest Europeans in the North American factories commented on the huge number of blue, long-tailed, fast and graceful pigeons in the country. When the most settlers in Virginia wrote that there were wild pigeons in the winter beyond numbers and imagination. I myself have seen flocks in the air for out of 3 or 4 hours in the road, so thickly they shadowed the sky from us. Similar reports can be found from Dutch on Manhattan Island in 1625, from the salmon in Massachusetts in 1631, and from the salmon first explored in Louisiana in 1698. As late as 1584, in Wayne County, New York, a local resident wrote that there will be days and days when the air was alive with them, heavily abraded occurring in the fogs for half a day at a time, fog strings as far as a person could see, until the bound another, on April 8, 1873, at the Sangamon, Michigan. There was a continuous string of passenger pigeons overhead between 7:30 in the morning and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Other reports described flocks of a mile while flying overhead for 4 or 5 hours at a time during their migrations in the early spring from the south to their breeding area in New England, New York, Ohio, and the Southern Great Lakes area. The blocks were so thickly packed that a single shot can bring down 30 or 40 birds, and many were killed simply by hitting them with a piece of wood as they flew over the hilltops. Their roasting signs were correspondingly enormous. Sun covered an area of 5 miles by 12 with up to the 19 nests in a single tree. Branches broke and the whole tree were topped by the sheer weight of the roasting birds, some standing on top of each other and leaving a pint of drawing several inches deep under the trees. The exact number of passenger pigeons in the North America when the European arrived is not known, but the best guess is 5 billion, about a third of all the birds in the North America at the time, and the same as the total number of birds can be found in the United States today. One reason why the passenger pigeons exist in such a prodigious number was the lack of nature predator apart from the hawk and eagles. It was, however, surprisingly vulnerable to human intervention. Each female laid only 1 egg a year, which made it difficult to replace any loose quickly. Only a flimsy nest was made, and it hopped off the nesting in the vast colonies and migrating in a huge flock to make it very easy to attack. The bird feed mainly on the acorns, chestnut, and bleach nuts in the extensive woodland of North America. So when these were steadily cut down, their habitat and food supply were reduced. Human intervention was at first reluctantly stranded, largely because of a limited number living in North America. The Indian captured the pigeons in the Lost larger net, and by the 1630s the settlers of New England were doing the same. The young squabbers were regarded as a great delicacy and a downward sought after for their furs as well as the meat. In the first quarter of the century of European settlement, it is doubtful whether the number of pigeons declined very much given the relatively small number of humans in the area. After 1830s, the practice of releasing live pigeons from traps for shooting practice began, but this itself would not have proved fatal to the existence of species even though about 250,000 years were being killed in this way in the 1870s. The population has certainly been reduced by the middle of the 19th century, but was still several billion strong. The real onslaught began with the onset of large-scale commercial hunting carried out by the well-organized trappers and shippers, in order to supply the developing city on the east coast of the United States with the chief source of meat. It began once the railway linking the Great Lakes areas with New York opened in the early 1850s, and by 1855, 300,000 pigeons a year were being sent to New York alone. The worst of the mass slaughter took place in the 1800s and 1870s. The scale of the operation can be judged by the figure that seems almost incredible, but which were carefully recorded as a part of a perfectly legal and high probability commercials. On July 23, 1816 alone, 235,200 birds were sent east from the Great Rapids, Michigan. During the 1870s, Oceana County, Michigan sent over 1 million birds to the markets in the east, and 2 years later was sending 400,000 a week at the height of the season, and a total of 1,600,000 that year. In 1869, Van Burners County, also in Michigan, sent 7,500,000 birds to the east, even if the 1880s, when number has already been severely reduced. 527,000 birds were shipped east from Michigan. Not surprisingly, even the vast flocks of the pigeons cannot withstand slaughter on the scale. Number fell rapidly, and by the late 1880s, large flocks, which had once been so common, has become a matter of comment and investigations, and most were no more than a few hundred strong. The last known specimens were seen in most states of the eastern United States in the 1890s, and the pasture pigeons died out in the wild in Ohio in about 1900. The last survivor of species that has once numbered 5 billion died in captivity in 1914.